Mahalo, Sasha Black.
Hello, darling.
How are
How are you?
you?
Yeah, no, you first. How are you?
Oh, I just woke up not long ago, so I'm still quite dumb. So we shall
Okay,
rely on
okay.
you to be the sparkling personality.
Okay, I'm all right. I did have a sudden horrendous realization. I thought I had 2 weeks until my book deadline, and I don't.
What do you
So
have?
less than that. So it's
Oh,
it's Wednesday next week.
oh my God.
So
And we're
it's going to be
speaking.
late.
Oh,
I'm not going to get it done. There's no way. I've still got like 40,000 words to write.
oh yeah, you
Um,
are not going to be able to do that physically. Your
no.
body won't be able to do that.
And I've still got to edit most of the book. So I made a big clusterfuck of the book. And so in a trilogy, especially a romantic one, typically the last book, you sort of have the dark night of the soul at the end of book two, and then you kind of resolve the romanticship relationship, dark night of the soul early in book three. And then everything's about the external bad, right? The big bad. And that's what I'd outlined, but that wasn't what I was writing. I don't know. So I was like, Ellie, what is wrong with my book? And she was like, well, Sasha, you are trying to write internal conflict after they've resolved it all. And I was like, Ugh. And that's exactly what I was trying to do because that's what I'd
Hmm.
spent, 230,000 words doing. Um,
That
so
would be a
yeah,
hard
basic.
thing to stop. I've written many series, but I've never written a continuing series with the same characters. So I would have no idea how to do that. And especially with your characters who thrive on,
Angst and drama.
oh my gosh, I just went back to police code in my head. The police code for the agency I worked for a million years ago for fighting, for like, just like it was 415. And we would say, oh, they're 415ing. And I was going to say that your books are built on their 415ing. They're
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's going to be our code word now.
Okay, yes, we used to use that for
Yeah.
in home 415. So I had such a
Yeah.
415 last night with Lala.
Love it. I literally love it. That is my new favorite word, and I am
Well,
stealing it.
can
So
I can I
yeah.
can I suggest something terrible and just feel free to 415 with me? Um, is it because maybe they have a little bit more internal drama to work out? I mean, is it there?
So no. Once it's done, it's done. But um there is internal conflict, but not between the two of them. And I can't say too much more
Yeah,
because
yeah.
but there's something else going on that's going to come to light that's been threaded through that nobody should know yet. So that there
Cool.
is still internal conflict, but not between the couple.
Right.
So anyway, as soon as she said it, because I was like, I kept saying things that were like, oh, I don't understand why there's not enough conflict. Like, there's not enough going on in this scene, and rah rah rah. And like, she was like, oh, Sasha, and it was literally, and as soon as she said, it's because you're trying to write internal conflict when it's an external conflict book. I was like, I know exactly what the problem is. I know exactly how to fix it. And so
Fantastic.
yeah, it is. But I've had to completely diverge from my normal book process. So normally I only draft and then I only edit. And what
Mm.
I had to do was like literally bullet point skeleton my way to the end, and then go all the way back to the beginning. So I'm in hell because I fucking hate editing.
Oh, because
And
you're
I'm now
revising before the book is done.
because I'm
Ugh,
revising
ah,
before the book is done.
ugh.
Exactly.
Worst.
But when I get to the end this time, that's it. It goes to the editor. So
Right.
that's what I'm trying to hold on to, that it will be done. It just so happens that I've got to write about double that I normally do. Because I always normally add about 20K in edits. So I'm just doubling the amount that I've got to write in edits. So anyway, I
You could
won't be
do
doing
it.
this again. I won't be
How
fucking
much
up
does
like this
that screw
again.
up the rest of your schedule? Are you okay?
I had a massive tantrum on the same day that I spoke to Ellie, and I wiped off the entire of my whiteboard. So I have no schedule at all.
I'm so proud of you. Let's just
Thanks.
glory in this moment. I know that you worship your whiteboard and that is what
I
holds you
really do.
together on some days.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, you've already proven yourself to be a person who You just make books. You make books. You write books. You make them, and it's okay to clear it. Did you feel a little bit of relief besides,
Um,
some, agony, but a little
I
bit?
felt um a mix of emotions because I'd been pushed to the point where I was like, if I don't clear the schedule and give myself the breathing space to like have a week off and read, I think I'm going to not want to work, and
Hmm.
that is an alarm bell to me.
That's
So,
much worse than blowing deadlines and moving calendars. Much worse.
exactly. So I don't know that it was relief in that it felt right. So, but what I did say to Ellie is that I can't live for too long without a schedule or a plan. So and so at the end of our session, we booked in a planning date for after I have finished drafting. So I will then have a schedule like, by by the end of the second week in October, I'll have a plan again. But basically, I just think that I might have unrealistic timelines in my head for everything.
We all knew that. We all knew that. Including you knew that. But I also love the idea of getting Ellie's help with a little bit of cognitive realism while you're
Yeah, because
scheduling the next book.
and so this is the interesting thing. So I work with what I'm calling my operations director now. I don't know if we've had this discussion.
No,
I
please
don't
tell
know.
me. Your ops
Okay, so
director.
I'm working,
Ooh.
I know, right? I'm working with a lady who is more than just a virtual assistant. She is
Is this
literally like,
is this the one who was doing your email? Have you like brought her in for more? Because she sounded like a
yes,
bloody genius.
she is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so she is doing everything. Like I have
fantastic.
offloaded so much, it's unbelievable. She's literally anything that is possible for me not to do, I give to her. I start with, can Petra do this? And if she can't do it, then
Hmm.
I do it.
Hmm.
Which is a very different way of thinking. Um, oh my God, we have also Kickstarter to talk about, but
I know, and and
there
and
is so
and
much.
I'm quite boring, but I do have a new book that I'll tell you about.
Oh my God,
But
that's
yeah, yeah,
exciting.
yeah. But I want to hear all this.
Okay, so I always thought I didn't want to manage people, but I think I'm very happy to manage the right people. And I'm
Mm.
especially happy to manage one person who then goes and manages everybody else. So I don't
There,
want a flat structure.
yeah,
If I have to have a team, I don't want a flat structure. I want a hierarchy because I don't want to deal with the minutia.
and you're doing it exactly right because you are not actually managing her. You are giving her tasks, and it sounds like she is perfect at managing herself and everything
Oh
that she
God,
does for
yeah.
you. You don't have to stand over her shoulder and make sure she's doing
Nope.
it, like nothing, not none of that.
No, exactly. And she is solving problems before I've even thought of them. And then I'm like, oh, Anne, and she's like, yeah, I've already done it. And I'm like, wait, what? Like I only just had the thought. So she is absolutely incredible. But also she kind of like managed the Kickstarter. Like she's like commissioning covers. Like, don't get me wrong, like I am pulling the concept and
Mhm.
giving all the feedback on the covers, so
Of
I still
course.
get that creative control. But she's dealing with the emails and the back and forth and she will tweak things in vellum and so it's been a much longer process of outsourcing than I thought it was. But actually, this is how I scale because she is able to do so many big, exciting projects that I want to do that I just do not have the capacity for. And so it's like now I can come up with all of these ideas and I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I can actually do it, but like I don't have to do the doing. She can do the doing. So it's incredible. It was terrifying. Like agreeing to the number of hours because it's almost like paying somebody what I used to earn.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so
Yeah.
that's actually terrifying to
Hmm.
me. Um, and yeah, so that's been kind of like a growth point as well. um but yeah, I feel so much freer and so excited for all the possibilities of things that we can do, but it has been a very long slow process of like learning how to let go, learning what I can outsource, learning how to work so closely with somebody, and even learning that I can, because for a long time, I didn't think I'd be able to have somebody this close in my business. I didn't think I'd want it. I didn't think I'd like it. But what I do like is the free time to work all day on my book. I didn't realize how much that's all I want to do. I don't Like, don't get me, I want to do strategy.
Hmm.
I like some elements of marketing. I don't want to create graphics. I don't want to schedule shit. I don't want to do any of that stuff. But I want to come up with the hooks. I want to come up with the concepts. I want to come up with, I don't mind TikTok. But yeah, so it's been really interesting learning what I like.
And is she doing the other social medias? Or is that somebody else? So
So
you have somebody else doing that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've got kind of a
Yeah.
team. So between them, they manage literally everything, like everything. It's
I
amazing.
can I just stop for 1 second? I do really love doing this with you. You say, "Oh, I kind of have a team." 1.5 years ago, we'll call it almost two, but not quite. It's like 1.5 year. You were like, "I might do a secret pen name." What do
I
you
know.
think? I think it'll be a financial disaster, but I'm going to do it anyway.
It's the worst decision I've ever made.
And now, and I know I always bring you up short to remind you of that, but I think that's part of my job. It's just
It
so
is. It
incredible.
is. Just like it's part of Petra's job to wrangle in me. Like I think she spends 90% of her time going, that's a great idea. Why don't we schedule that for 2026?
Between her and Ellie. If somebody is
Yeah.
tuning in for the very first time, they'll be very confused. Ellie is a coach that we both work with. Does
Yes.
so Ellie will she talk with you through your plots then? This is something that I twigged while you said that.
Ellie handholds me through life.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
she was
I
actually able to
I
tell you that thing about the internal mechanism of your book, and I've never even considered using Ellie for that.
I have never had somebody brainstorm with me about the book in the way that she does. I book
Mm.
in a
Mhm.
session. I pay for an
I'm
extra
gonna do
session
this.
before I
I'm gonna
start
do this.
drafting, and I
Yep.
talk her through the whole plot. And
Yep.
she picks out any holes that, and also she like what was the thing the other day? So there was this scene, and I was so resistant, and I skipped over it, and I started writing other stuff, and I was like, Ellie, I can't write this scene. This scene's wrong. And she was like, no, it's not. And I was like, and she was like, it's your competition. She was like, this character loses and quits in this scene. She was like, do you know how hard that's going to be for you to write? And I was like,
Oh.
so she not only talks plot and understands story, but she does it from the framework of strengths.
Oh my goodness.
It's unfucking believable. I will not start writing until I have spoken to her.
And I will also say for people who are wishing, oh, I wish I had an Ellie. No, number one, you can get an Ellie, but no, I think she's booking now. But and number two, even when she handholds you through it, we find surprises in our work. No, if you get the stamp of approval from Ellie and you give yourself the stamp of approval, we will all still run into hair-raising issues
Yeah,
while we're
of
writing our books. That
course.
doesn't mean that it makes it easy.
No, no, not
Yeah.
even close to easy. Bloody hell. But over the years, there's lots of like tools that you pick up, and now I have like a literal checklist of tools in my toolbox. And I'm like, okay, have I used Midjourney to create an image so that I can
Mm.
see visually the scene, right? Like if I can't write, I'm like, well, can you see the scene? So that's like my go-to. Ellie's like, do you have your images? And I'm like, and she's like, mm-hmm.
Do
And
you do
then,
that for every
it's
scene or just the scenes you're stuck on?
I do it for lots of things at the beginning before I start writing.
Hmm.
But invariably, 30% of what I write is brand spanking new to me, despite outlining. And I will do it if I get stuck.
Yeah.
Usually, if I grind to a halt or I can't start a scene, my number one is, do I have an image? Like Midjourney is literally my best friend. I'm
Wow.
so grateful to Joe because I didn't realize how visual I am, and I would spend hours on Pinterest looking in coffee table books. I like the amount of money I've spent on coffee table books over the
Looking
years.
for the right image instead of
Yeah,
asking
instead of
AI
just
to create
asking
it
for
for
it.
you.
Exactly. Yeah,
I wonder
yeah.
if that would
You
work for
know,
me, a person with no interior, like visual
oh my God, you have
image.
aphantasia.
Yeah,
Have
I
we not
do.
talked about this?
I don't think we ever have. I have the almost aphantasia. Like almost. I can if you tell me to see an apple, I'll see like a child's drawing of an apple that is wobbly in my head. But I don't see
So,
anything else. I see all words that are
Chloe,
spoken always. It's called teletype synesthesia. As you are talking, I see every word. I have to know how everything is spelled. I can't talk to a person without knowing the spelling of their name because it's constantly scrolling and I'm constantly I just found out that a really good friend, Steven, is a V and not a PH and he's not even a person to me anymore. I've always thought of him as a PH. I've got it. This is going to take years for me to recover from. But yeah, I can't, so Chloe can't see either?
Chloe has very limited,
It's very
so
limited. Yeah, I can see a little.
very, very limited. She like might, if she like shuts her eyes and thinks really hard about it, she
Yep.
might sort of get a grey-ish image, but pretty
Grayish,
much
yes.
nothing in it,
Can you
which
ask her
is,
something? Can we go side? We're
yeah,
gonna go sideways total. Can you ask her what her dreams are like? Because I just woke up from a dream the other day and I realized that I always dream incredibly visually. And in this particular dream, I was looking at this scroll work gate that had rust on it. And I can almost see it in my head right now, but I was seeing it so clearly. And I'm like, how can I do that if I have almost aphantasia? And then I Googled,
that's
it's a
wild.
different part of your brain. Your mind's
No,
eye that can imagine something is not the part of the
Chloe,
brain that sees during a dream.
no way. I did not know that. We have a question for you. What I no, don't come on screen. What are your
Don't go on screen. You're naked.
yeah, she's
Hello,
not
hello,
naked.
Chloe. You're on the air. She probably can't hear
She's
me.
in her PJs. She's in her PJs. What are your dreams like?
Can she see images?
Can you see images in your dreams? And are they in color?
I don't think they're in colour.
They're not in color. Okay.
Mm.
But
No.
do you see images? She's intellecting very hard here.
I don't dream very often though, do I?
Yeah. So she's saying
It's
she doesn't
hard for
dream very
people who
often.
don't remember. I dream vividly every night, and I sleep so lightly that they're always right there. Although she sleeps lightly, so ask her to keep an eye on this, please.
Okay. So we would love an answer the next time that you have a dream.
Okay.
The listeners will want to know. They'll
Oh,
want
we're
closure. We
recording.
are actually recording, yeah.
And please tell her hello from all of
And,
us.
and Rachel says hello.
You don't want to see me in my
I mean,
pajamas?
I like seeing you in your pajamas,
Tell her to
so
pop her head in and wave at me.
she's
Our
not wearing a
our
bra.
our, our listeners are so tolerant because
I
we're not going
know.
to edit this out. I'm not going to edit that out. That's in.
My tablet.
Thank you,
All
Chloe.
right. Rachel said thank you.
Okay, so to go back to that, I wonder if Midjourney making images would help or hurt because usually what happens is if I do a Pinterest board, I never look at it again, and if I look at it, it doesn't mean much to me. You
Oh,
know,
that's
it
interesting. Well, I
so
only look at it and then I'm gone. It's not
right,
like I hold it
it's a
there. I
tool.
just look at
Yeah.
it. And then usually what happens is, okay, so I look at the image and it's not, and this is what I find so funny. This is why Joe and I are quite similar. Joe is so location based, and she goes traveling so much, as do I, because if I cannot see the setting, I cannot write the action. So for me,
Mm.
90% of what I create on Midjourney is a setting image. The
Hmm.
other 10% is a people image and I create characters. So it's always like, what does this location look like? If I can see the location, I can plot the action in the location. So that's what I do.
I love this idea for setting because I can never see anything that my characters are doing. So 90% of my books are people talking in rooms that don't exist. It's all just heads in space. But really a nice thing about my process now is that I know that and I don't worry about it in a first or a second draft. It's a later draft for me to go in and add all setting. And I just sit there with the thesaurus and I look up what's in a setting and I put it in and I build it around it. But that's a pass for me. Okay, sorry, going into the weeds here. When you use Midjourney, are you using oh, what is it? Not Slack, but the other one. The
Discord.
are you using Discord to build it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because the only AI I've managed to use
I've
is
got
with ChatGPT, Dolly, because it's easier.
I'm like as much as I love Midjourney, I'm a bit of a tech phobe. Not tech phobe, but like I find it very difficult to learn new things. So I've got a patron. They are incredible. And they are able to like edit images in the AI and they
Oh,
create like all of
cool.
these wonderful like steampunk type stuff, but they know how to like iterate them and change them. And I
Right.
can't like I'm like, ah, no, I can't like,
When
but
I'm
I think if I
iterating, I
had enough
get monsters.
headspace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know how to iterate. So that, I mean, like, yeah, I wish I did know,
Yeah.
but I don't. And I'm sure it's something I'm capable of learning, but I haven't had the time, headspace, or capacity to learn it. So I'm a basic bitch when it comes to Midjourney. I'm just like, and if I don't get the right image, instead of tweaking it, I just write the prompt again. Because that's all I know how to do.
That's fair.
I
Okay,
just keep
now we've
tweaking
wandered
it.
everywhere. Let's go back to so you have a plan or you're going to meet with Ellie. You're gonna do the plot
Yeah.
for the,
Yeah.
that's what you do.
Oh,
Oh, and you're gonna meet with
yeah.
Ellie to do plot out basically your whole schedule.
The
That's what I
rest of the
mean.
year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I know what I'm writing next. I just not talking about that one here yet. Well,
yeah.
I'll tell you, but yeah, that old chestnut. Yeah, so I don't know. Like the year is wide open, apart from Vegas. I am going to Vegas.
And when is Vegas?
Um,
October?
November.
November. Okay, that's
I'm
not
going for a
too.
shorter amount of time this time though.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot last time.
Well,
The
and it was
strange thing
an
about
entire holiday with your family. That was a
no,
lot.
no.
Oh, when you went to Vegas
Vegas, I
last
went.
time. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I literally felt like I was there for 17 years.
17 hours in Vegas feels like that.
Literally.
It's a lot.
Um, so yeah, I think
No, that's
that's
not all. Can you please tell me, or actually, I'm gonna walk listeners who are not up on the Sasha thing through this thing where what it, how many days ago? How many days ago? 10,
well, there's 13
7?
days left, and I think it started on the 16th, so what day is it now? The 23rd. So it's a week today,
It's
7
a week
days.
today. So 1 week ago today, I got up. It was like, maybe 7 a.m. And I think it was 8 a.m. when I looked at my email. And I had gotten an email at 4 a.m. New Zealand time that said Sasha Black's new Kickstarter had launched, the NSFW Lesbian Vampire Romance Special Editions, because I just brought it up. Why did that just cover that? Um, and I was like, I wonder how it's doing. And I looked and it had blown past not your goal, which was remarkably low because you do it like I do. We're scared we're not going to hit anything. Um,
Yep.
and you'd blown past everything you had done on the last Kickstarter. So I just pulled it up and I would like to tell you in New Zealand dollars because New Zealand dollars are impressive. Your goal in New Zealand dollars, you'll have no way of knowing this, was $6,400. You are
Okay.
currently at let's say that again. Your goal was 6,400. You're currently at 93,384. And if you have a listener or a patron who lives in or anywhere near Japan, have them send you a screenshot because you're in the millions now.
Amazing. Amazing. I love currency conversion.
So can you please talk us, because this is super exciting, can you please talk us through that day and your subsequent meltdown? Because I Marco Polo'd you and you were like, I'm
Yeah.
dying.
Yeah, I gave myself an excitement migraine.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was really bad. Like I literally got a
I
migraine
get
because
those.
yeah, got so excited. I can't exactly remember what the meltdown was. But we blew through the whole of the last Kickstarter, which was 26,000 UK in 94 minutes.
94 minutes.
Yeah,
That's the point
94
at which I
minutes.
check out for a few days. Just
Yeah,
I'm
right.
done.
I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I don't know what else to do now. Um, and so it's funny because I've actually not been able to promote the Kickstarter for a few days just because I was so utterly gobsmacked and overwhelmed and shocked about what had happened.
Hmm.
And so now literally we've had the conversation today because it has like petered right down. And it does that in every campaign, but there are things you can do to encourage and, get a couple more backers
Right,
here, there, and
right.
everywhere. So we're back on the train now. But yeah, I mean, I was not expecting that. I knew we'd gathered a lot of followers. So before it started, it had 718
Holy
followers.
cow.
Yeah, and I didn't know that that was loads, but Joe's reaction told me that that was loads because I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we got like blah blah blah," and she was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Oh, okay," because last time we'd had 200 and something, and me being me, obviously had been following a lot of the bigger Kickstarters, so Katie Roberts' Kickstarter, and they had like 4,000 followers, so I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's like," so I was completely distorted. I obviously hadn't done enough research on what was a realistic amount of followers, so.
Like 100
That
is amazing for a normal person. That had
well,
been
the
my goal,
first
was
one
just
had, yeah,
100.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the first one had like 280 or 290.
Incredible.
So yeah, when we blew past 500, I was like, okay, this could be something. But then you never know, right? Because they actually have to convert, and they don't all convert. So yeah, we we. I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. I'm going to need an army of people to help with this one. Like when it comes to fulfillment, I'm going to need an army of people to help because it's
You are
going to be
going
a
to need an
lot.
army of people to help, and also you have to get that. You cannot be in charge of this fulfillment. I mean, you can be in charge of it because you're the ringmaster, but
Oh no, I'm
the,
not.
you can't.
This is a Petra problem.
It is a Petra problem, and this is
It
why you are
is.
paying her so well because this allows you to write. And I mean, and again, we know how much of that 93,000 New Zealand you will get. It's, it'll be less than half, but still, ah, freaking amazing.
Thank you.
You must
Thank you.
feel really, really good about that.
Ah, I just feel numb
Mm-hmm.
because it was like, the goal was beat the last one. And I thought maybe it'd take a week to do that. And then when it did it in 94 minutes, I was just like, well, I don't know what the goal is now.
Interesting. As a number one competition person, that must really put you on the back foot. You
Yeah.
absolutely don't know what is good anymore. Like if you had
Yeah.
made this amount on the last day, like you'd been under you're under your last Kickstarter for 20 of the days, and then you managed to creep over just by a dollar or two, or maybe $100 on the last day, you would have been flying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Ah,
I've had to like reset. So now it's like, well, we're at 43. It would be really good to beat 50
yeah, yeah,
because, that feels like we've got 2 weeks left and that feels like a
yeah.
realistic sort of goal.
Do you change
But
your
then
stretch goals while you're in there? Do you have the stretch goal up to 50? I haven't checked.
up to 80. That wasn't
Perfect. Great.
that, yeah, that we
Yeah.
didn't set them
Yeah.
because we were like, let's just put the first two or three and then
I think
we'll,
that's the right way to
yeah,
go.
yeah. Um, so I mean that's a private goal, not like I mean the public goal, obviously 50 and 80 are up there for stretch goals, but yeah, privately I'm like I would really, really like to make 50. Yeah, it's just a very weird, yeah, I don't know. Like and then yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've been able to process it quite yet.
Good. Then we're processing it a little bit right now just by talking
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
why I'm stumbling and,
Flummoxed.
and struggling. Yeah, flummoxed basically. Yeah. But we are like I have talked non-stop. Tell me about your new book.
Well, my new book, I need to make an appointment with Ellie. I need to make an appointment with Ellie to help me find some more hours in the day, which don't exist because I am teaching so much right now. And teaching does take a lot of time and a lot of like management effort. And I love doing it and it pays the bills. But I need to finish the fix, which I'm very close to doing, which is the recovery memoir. And then I can push it off to my agent. I finished the copy edits on Seven Miracles. So that's done forever. I'll look at proof pages someday next year, but I don't care. Um, but then I told you a little bit about this on Marco Polo, but I went to this town, Whanganui, on a little writer's retreat. This is a woo-woo thing, so go with me here. I often recognize the places that will be incredibly important to me, like in a home way, when I get there. Like I have recognized every house we've ever lived in. We'll look at, when we were here, we looked at buying a house, looking at all the houses. And then I recognized the interior walls of this one. At our old home, I pulled up outside the house when we were going to look at this house, and I recognized the bird song. Um, when I first started going to the recovery room, the 12-step meeting house that I first got sober in, I walked in and I looked down and I recognized the linoleum, and I knew around the corner there'd be a crooked staircase, and there it was. Like I recognized these things. And when I got to Whanganui, I was like, I recognize this town, and I'm just stomping around it, just walking around. And I was like, I wonder if my mom ever lived here and I didn't know that. Or, are my family from here, even though this is the wrong island? Why am I feeling this way? And then I walked around this corner, and there was a painting of a woman on a mural on a wall. And I was like, who is that? And it didn't say, it just said the artist's name. So I took a picture from a million angles. I was just in love with her. She's sitting in front of, I didn't know if she was writing on paper. She was kind of facing a thing that was tilted up, or painting or weaving. It was really not the best mural I've ever seen, but I was enamored. And it turns out she was painting. And this is Edith Collier. I went back and I Googled the artist, and I found out who this was. Edith Collier, who's the first modern painter of New Zealand, who was absolutely forgotten to time because there was this homosexual scandal at the time involving the mayor of Whanganui, who was a man who shot the man who said, I'm going to oust you, I'm going to out you as a homosexual. Um, and that man lived. And then Charles, the mayor, went to prison and then was released, but was like Charles Mackey, the mayor, was almost removed from the annals of time because of this homosexual sin that he did. And Edith, in the meantime, same town, Edith comes back from studying in Europe just a couple years after this happens. She presents her work at the gallery that Charles, the mayor, opened and is scathingly reviewed, possibly, probably because she has these female nudes. She's been learning in Europe. Nobody paints female nudes, especially in New Zealand, especially women. And then her father burns those nudes, and she almost never works again. She does work a little bit. She doesn't go to her own openings. She goes with her best friend up the coast and is, painting the landscapes. But there's a lot of implied tragedy around both Edith and Charles. And what I want to do is show the fictional, because I'm making this shit up, but show the fictional love that they had in their lives. Like Charles does get released from prison. He goes to Europe because as part of his release, he can't come back. And I know that he falls in love in London because of who he leaves his will to. He is then shot on the streets by a Berlin sniper cop during some riots. But I want to show like the moment when he's thinking of his love. And Edith lives until she's in her almost 80s. She buys a black Oldsmobile in her 70s and a house up the coast. And her best friend is still living in town near her. And I know that she's been loving Eulalie. Eulalie is her girlfriend's name. And so I want my
Well,
main character to come into town and somehow find the main character is going to have some kind of, queer love story. And I want her to find the hidden nudes that Edith made for the rest of her life, maybe of Eulalie, the Eulalie series or something. I just want to like explore. I don't know if it's going to be like a slightly ghosty story or just straight up women's fiction slash lit. I don't know.
okay,
But
so number one, this is the most input thing you have ever said to me.
what?
Um, just like the rabbit hole you
Oh,
just
oh,
took everybody down,
the
right?
rabbit hole that you did not know existed, and now you need
I
more.
know, right? Number two, are you going to give them a happy ever after?
All of them get a happy ever after.
Okay, good. And number
I
three,
can't write that not. Yeah.
have you read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo?
No, I never have.
Oh,
I know because I've
okay,
tried something else by her
okay.
and I
But
didn't like her writing, but I'll try it.
can you
You say
listen to
yes.
audio?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, listen to the audio because
Okay.
it's written as you're talking, I'm like it's giving me Evelyn Hugo vibes
Oh,
because and I will try not to give you any spoilers, but
yes,
it's
we right.
told
Yeah.
past present
It is. Okay, I
and
didn't know that.
yeah, and in the present there is a journalist who is interviewing Evelyn and then during those interview
Ah,
sessions it goes into her past and then we get her past story all the way up to present day and they're all connected. Like if you don't love that book, I will be gobsmacked.
I will get it and
Gobsmacked.
listen to it while I am stitching. That sounds
I think it will
wonderful.
be great input for this kind of story.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
maybe
so
even structural like
yeah,
inspiration
well,
for you.
I need the help. I need the help. I love that idea. Thank you. So yeah, my brain is on fire. My brain is like in a full. It's so funny that you have said that because I had not thought about it as my number one input, number two intellection. But that's all I've been
This
doing. I
is
have
the
like
best.
42 pages of notes.
Of course you
I
do.
there are three full books, two on Edith, one on Charles, and I've read them, and I've only been back for 5 days. Like I oh no, I guess a week now, but I have read everything there is to read on these people and it's all connected. Okay, can I confess something? I don't
Yeah.
think I said this on my podcast. There's a little house. So the Sargent Gallery is what Charles built and created. The Sargent Gallery, it holds all of Edith's works and they have been closed for 10 years as they do this remodeling. a revamp thing. They open on November 9th. I am a patron now at the gallery. I will be at the opening. And there's this little house on the Sargent Gallery property. I'm going to be so embarrassed if anybody ever hears this who is actually in New Zealand and knows anybody. So nobody tell. But there's this little house and they have a residency. And I'm going to get a residency there. I'm going to live
Oh
in that
my
little house for six
God, I
months,
love it.
and write about Edith at the Sargent. Like and when I walked past the house, I recognized it. And the door was open and the current artist in residence was just sitting on her couch. She, yeah, I almost went up and like said, okay, so I'll be living here. And then I thought, you will sound not good, not good. And so don't do that. So I like took pictures, but
That's like the
it's
most meta book ever.
I know it is. It is about this
You should
woman.
write a
Right.
memoir about the experience at the same time.
I was like, do I just write myself into the role? But sometimes I really hate the true fiction memoirs where the author is the character. Ruth Ozeki got away with it, but yeah, it's hard to do. But yeah, it is very, very meta. I'm obsessed. Lala is so, so patient with me. I'm gonna get, my cat is gonna be named Edith, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm in love with her. And she was the biggest lesbian you ever saw. I'm gonna send you some pictures. And I want to give her her happy story, her happy
Yeah, I
ending.
love it. I love it. What is your process for delineating between the moments of truth and where you fictionalize story?
Well, I've never done, I mean, with memoir, I try to stay as true as possible, but I've never fictionalized something that was based on a true story. And because I really want to use their names, I'm going to try to stick to actual happenings. Like
Mhm.
they were here then, this happened then. Somebody knows they said that. But then everything that we don't see, I can make up. The whole time that Charles is in Europe, I can make up. The whole time that Edith from 19, from the time her paintings are burned until her death, I get to make up. Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
excited.
I
It
am
feels
too.
like, do you know, every so often it feels like there's a really meaty project that we are just meant to do. And it
Yes.
feels like that,
It's
like,
handed to you. Yeah.
yeah.
My only fear is that there's this one woman who is the like international expert on Edith, and she just came out with a memoir last year. She's written a bunch of books about people, but she loves Edith, and my fear is that she's writing an Edith novel. What if I interview her and talk to her and she says that? I feel like I feel like it would
If you
have to
interview
then I could
her
fictionalize
and
my
she says
Edith.
that,
I could change her name, but
well,
I don't want to.
eh, also, what if somebody fictionalizes or does a retelling of Romeo and Juliet? Bet
Yeah,
nobody's
yeah,
ever done
yeah.
that before.
Exactly.
You
I
know,
wouldn't have to.
like,
Yeah, it's a small country.
yeah, it is a small country, but I think, there are enough people doing the same story in a completely different way.
Okay. I'm going
And
to
has
get
that woman ever written fiction?
never.
She's very unlikely to do that then.
I'm going to use this conversation. I'm going to invite her to obviously to ink in your veins so that then we can
Yeah.
become friends and then I can confess my dearest desire. So that's going to have to fit into what I'm doing. And this book in particular, I may try a couple of different methods to write because usually I'm a sturdy show up and write and the book gets done. This may be like go away for a week and try to get 25,000 words at a time because I don't know where
Mm.
else in my life it will fit. I could turn it into my 500 words in the morning, the 15 minutes in the morning, and that would get it done pretty quickly too. I just have to come up with a little bit of a plot. I need Ellie's help because I
Do
don't really
you
know the current
do you normally
main
plot?
character. I need the tent poles. I need to
Okay.
know. I have the tent poles. I have all the tent poles for the two characters for Charles and Edith, but I know nothing really about this main character.
You need to read
So
Evelyn Hugo. Like,
I
because
will. I will.
even if like that isn't, it might be a springboard for an idea, like
Yeah,
it's
I can't do journal because the time will be different, but I am thinking like a mixture of letters, correspondence, and diary to springboard us back. So she finds that, reads that, and then we're flashing back. But if I do some kind of paranormal element, some kind of ghost or magical, even magical realism would be light enough, then it kind of even goes along with the seven, it sounds like the same book, but Seven Miracles of Beatrix Holland, which comes out next year. So it would still be queer, lightly
Like the
paranormal.
7 letters of Edith Collier or something.
Exactly. That might
Yeah,
be too.
yeah.
I realize how much that sounds like the Seven Husbands now. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah.
Um, yeah, I think
Oh,
I'm very excited. I like, when you feel the electricity around an idea and around a project, like that's what I'm
yeah.
getting.
Yeah. And
And I'm excited for you.
I'd had no fiction in mind. None. I've just been
Yeah.
absolutely blank on fiction. Whenever anybody asks me, I just say, I don't know. I don't know if I want to again. I'm just going to wait and see if a book hits me in the face. And then a book hit me in the face.
Oh, I love it.
So,
I love it. Yeah.
yeah.
I sort of had the opposite problem in that I was trying to shoehorn my way into doing something in particular. And then Ellie was like, "This is why you're not reading." And I was like, "Oh." She was like, "You're reading what you think you need to be reading rather than what you really want to read." And she was like, and I think it's the same same problem for deciding what comes next. And so she was like, "What book do you really want to write?" Because I've got like a whole fucking spreadsheet list of ideas of
Right.
stuff that I want to do. And I was like, "I want to write this book." And I was like, "It's this meets that." And she was like, "Mm-hmm." And then she was like, "I keep hearing you say, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like that genre's this genre, blah, blah, blah." And she was like, "So what can you do?" And I was like, "Well, I could write that book." And she was like, "Okay, go on then."
So does this change what plans you had made for the next few books to write?
Um, I'm consistently going to be writing sapphic spicy romance
Yes.
that is fantasy. Does it change what the immediate series I was going to write next? Yes. Because
I
I was going to do
Ooh,
like dragons and fae and shit. And then I'm like, no, fuck all of that off. I don't want to do that. Um, mm.
I can't wait to hear.
I feel like maybe I've told you
I
some
think maybe
stuff
you have. I didn't know
already.
if you changed
Yeah.
again, but yeah.
Well, that I will tell you afterwards, but the X meets Y, which was like, my favorite things in childhood,
Mm-hmm.
was something I wanted to do, but decided wasn't marketable enough. And I've figured out a way to make it marketable.
Which is exactly what you have done with anything you've done with Ruby Rose so far.
Exactly. It's what do
You
I want to
only
do and how do I
exactly.
make it as to market as I can? So I have figured that out. Um, and now I am very excited. Yeah. I'm like desperate to get to like the brainstorming and the outlining and the mid-journeying and the murder boarding and all the rest of it. And as soon as I get there, I'll be like, "Oh, I hate this phase." Like,
What's the murder board?
oh, because like I print out a bunch of pictures and then like I stick them all up and then like do post-it notes and like have arrows and lines
Oh,
and
so it
like
looks
as
like
I'm
you're a
like,
serial
yeah, like
killer.
literally I look like a serial killer and I'm like, "No, I'm just making up lies for a living." Um, you know.
Okay, well, we can
Yeah.
keep this episode short because I know you're tired and you have a lot
I
to do.
am
Tell me
tired
what you
today,
want
yeah.
to do by the next time we talk.
By the time we talk at the end of October, I will have finished the Kickstarter will have ended and will be very close to fulfillment, I think.
Oh my
We're
gosh.
I know.
Amazing.
Yeah, I will have finished the book
Yep.
and it will be back from the editor and in the process of publishing. And I should be I should have had a rest and then I should be into like outlining and brainstorming and all the rest of it, I think.
Okay, that sounds like too much for 4 weeks, including the rest. That sounds
Yeah.
like a
You
shit
have to
ton.
remember, I'm not really doing the fulfillment on the Kickstarter, though.
Right. Okay,
I'm
that's
just
good.
like, I'm just,
Okay.
you know,
I think we're a good
overseeing.
team for this because I would like to say by the end of next month, I'd still like to have finished the fix, which is what I said last time. But then I got really distracted. To be fair, I got distracted once by a new book, but the other time I got distracted because I needed to spend a week on copy edits. So I lost a week there. Those
Mm,
came in out of nowhere. So
yeah, but it's done
close,
now.
close. It's done. I don't have to touch that book again. It's so
Yay!
great. You love
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
All right, my darling. Happy
Ah,
writing. Good luck.
yes,
I'll
and to
talk to you soon.
you. Bye.
Bye.